What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. It's Thursday night. Welcome to Living in Jacksonville channel. Hello, Miss Rachel. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I mean, last week you started off talking about jumbo shrimp. Now this week, what are you going to say?
I got to share their national champions.
Woo!
I know. I think it's really, really great. So believe it. It was actually a very exciting game if you got a chance to watch. So our Jacksonville jumbo shrimp are national champions in the AAA league. So it's so exciting.
Wow, that's one gnarly looking jumbo shrimp.
I mean, it's very muscly.
Very muscly. That's a very muscly shrimp. I agree. Cool. So 2-run homer delivers an 8-7 win. All right. Awesome. Good stuff.
So, super exciting.
Who are they playing again?
They were playing the Vegas team, Aviators.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Good. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Kudos. Congratulations, Jumbo Shrimp. Now I need to go to a game next year.
Yes, you do. Right. Yeah, their season's over, so you got to look forward to it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a really close game, 8-7. It wasn't like it was, and they won with a 2-run homer, so that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. So yeah, very, very exciting. So
I'm not a baseball person, but that actually sounds exciting.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go back and watch them, I highly recommend. So, had to update that since we talked about it a little bit last week.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, you got to have some little city pride.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a local now. 7 years, about time. All right. Well, kudos to all my jumbo shrimp people. If you're at the game, put in the comments there. If it was that good of a game, I'd love to hear about it. Make sure you put it in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Are you local? Are you watching from somewhere else in the country, relocating? Are you international? We want to know. So put it in the comments. This is an interactive show. What else you got, Miss Rachel?
Well, I feel like the theme, I guess, this show is a lot of expansion kind of stuff. But first up, we're talking about Emerald Trail. So the Emerald Trail is a planned trail that's the plan is 30 miles of trails in the downtown area that will connect 14 historic neighborhoods in downtown, Hogan's Creek, McCoy's Creek, and the St. Johns River. They're just starting on it. This is the second phase that they're starting on. And this will be the Hogan Street piece of the puzzle. So Emerald Trail breaks ground on this newest segment through downtown.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So I have a few more articles to show because I just like to see more pictures whenever I'm looking through all this stuff. So this is all great. This is phase 2, literally numbered appropriately because this is the second piece. And this is really, they're saying, is a really critical piece. This is going to be 0.9 miles, the Hogan Street link. And this is going to be mostly a bicycle track and a walking trail on the western side of the one-way Hogan Street to separate from traffic. So I found a picture, because pictures always kind of show the idea a little bit better. So this is what it looks like now. And their plan is to get it, you can see their ceremonial groundbreaking, to look like this. So it'll have traffic one way, and then you've got bicycle traffic over here.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because the reality is that people are really, especially in a city or whatever, or that people are looking for that urban living where you can have access everywhere, whether it's pedestrian friendly, bike riding. I mean, God, it'd be great if they allowed golf carts, but anyway, always trying to influence people that don't live in master plan communities. But I think it's a phenomenal idea, and it's really going to make people think a whole differently about moving into downtown area.
Right.
We need a revival in downtown Jacksonville all day long, because I mean, it's got to be more than just a weekend place. And I think this is the answer.
Right. And I mean, this is definitely a big piece of the puzzle. The trail, I mean, I keep going through the stats, like the trail will link 16 schools, 3 colleges, 3 hospitals, 21 parks and other destinations, like restaurants and retail. This reminds me a lot of Atlanta. Like they have a Beltline trail up there.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that they were still, when I was living there, they were still kind of working on and building. And now I mean, it's a little bit different because instead of Jacksonville's plan, which is 30 miles, the Atlanta one is a 22-mile loop
Mm-hmm.
in the Atlanta area. And I have actually pulled that up too, just to kind of give the idea of what that looks like. Because I think this is sort of like kind of, it's so reminiscent. It would be surprising to me if this was not like,
It was modeled after this.
right. I mean, it would have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So just very cool. And, just the next piece of the puzzle, the funding is another piece of the puzzle that needs to get figured out. They did have some funding that they lost, but a lot of it is, this piece of the puzzle is currently already funded. I'm hoping they can get some of that federal funding back. I found this article recently from Action News Jacksonville. The reason that the funding went away was because they got this $147 million grant and then it just never got signed. So there was a signature, I guess, that needed to happen before the money started, was officially theirs and that they could start spending.
Yeah.
But because it was awarded in March 2024 and it sat for 16 months without a signature, it got axed in July with President Trump's big, beautiful bill. So that's what happened there. There was some sort of, piece of the puzzle that just didn't get signed. And I think that was on the Jacksonville side of things that something got missed. So just something to know. But so when they talk about like the funding and stuff like that, whenever you're looking through articles and they talk about that lost funding, they like to blame it on, I think, the big, beautiful bill. But the reality is that they were awarded the money and it sounds like they didn't do that next step that they needed to guarantee those funds. But what they say is that this project is still going to happen. It's just going to maybe be a little bit slower than they originally had planned. So the whole project was supposed to be done by 2030. But now with that big question mark over that $147 million, where that's going to come from now.
Yeah. I would think that they should do it in multiple phases anyway to see how successful it is anyway. But it says that the trails are heavily collaboration between the city governments and nonprofits and private donors. So they're just trying to interconnect the city and revive businesses. And there's an artistic component to it, it sounds like, as well. So I think it's a fantastic idea. If anybody's watching and you think this is a good or a bad idea, I'd love to hear your opinion on that. I mean, that's pretty cool that it goes across there to San Marco as well. I mean, some pretty cool trails there, Riverside. So definitely going to keep people in town if they're going to a Jags game. If there's easy access, bike riding. I'm wondering, are they going to allow those electric scooters? Because I know I've been downtown and people are riding around on those independent scooters. Have you seen that?
I have seen some in some of the renderings. It looks like they do.
Yeah, they do. They're all, I mean, I saw tons of, we went and did a brewery tour downtown. There's a lot of breweries in downtown. You can get a passport if you're into microbreweries. And we did that. And we noticed everybody was renting these scooters. I mean, you just put a credit card, they're sitting on the corners of the side of the street in Jacksonville, in the city. So I'm wondering if they would allow you to do that. And that, I think it'd be cool if it was 30 miles. That would be a tour of its own for anybody visiting, but I don't know how safe it would be because we all know these e-bikes and scooters these days go these fast. But maybe if they're not that fast and they have a speed limit, it would be another cool attribute as well. But I'm probably going to get stoned to death for saying that because everybody's going through an e-bike crisis here with kids.
I know.
So
I really like just, pedal power, your own two legs and
I'm
just,
not getting into it. Don't get me started.
I mean, I'm just saying for myself, I don't trust
Oh
myself.
yeah, no, I mean I think it would be awesome to be able to. I mean, look, have you ever been to Holland, like Amsterdam?
No, I wish.
Okay, well, Amsterdam, everybody rides a bicycle, and there's a bicycle path. Now, if you dare walk on that path, you will get run over because we almost got hit multiple times. But everybody commutes on bicycle.
Okay.
At least when we were there, I don't know what the winter time is like, but it's incredible. It's the coolest thing ever because everybody's got like their bicycle and their briefcase. They're going to work, the grocery store, and everybody's just riding around on bicycles. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever since sliced bread. So that was years ago. I don't know if they're riding electric bikes now too. Who knows? But the city had provided a complete bike path. So I think it's a fantastic idea. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, really, anytime I drive downtown, it does get a little confusing anyways, because some of the one-way streets and everything else. So personally, I would love the option to be able to ride my bike around and see things. And I mean, I just like riding my bike anyways. I always talk about riding bikes on the beach. So this
Yeah, and I mean you can do that here, even in Ponte Vedra Beach. I mean, there's people riding their bikes up and down the beach. I
yeah.
think it's a cool idea, and I think like if you live there, I mean, it's kind of like when we live in a master plan community like Nakati or whatever. We don't always ride the golf cart around, but we're like, hey, why don't we just go in the golf cart tonight if we're going to go to dinner in town center or whatever? Because you want to be in that open air environment or whatever. And I think, why not go out? If you live in downtown, if you're into people watching, I think it'd be fun to ride a bike. I mean, that's just my opinion. So
Yeah, so they're working on it. This is phase two. Like I said, it's about 1 mile. That this little part right here.
I know it's a silly question, but I wonder if they have set up a somewhere there you can donate to that fund if there's a fund for public donations.
Oh, I'm sure that you could. The group behind it is Groundwork Jacksonville,
Okay.
and I mean, I see just with this, you could work with us, become a member, support. I am positive they would.
Okay.
I'm sure they would love donations for this.
Okay, so if you're a big proponent of this, you're a business owner, a local, whatever, and you want to learn more about it, this is a good place to go, right? This website?
Yes, groundworkjacksonville.org.
Okay, awesome. I like that.
Yeah. So there you go. So that is that. And speaking of things that are expanding, Jacksport adds cruise capacity amid stiff competition from southern Florida ports. So looking through this article, I read that Carnival Cruise Line, they reported record bookings out of Jacksonville. And Norwegian Cruise Line starts out of Jacksonville in November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Where is Norwegian sailing to? Sorry, Carnival.
Well, Norwegian, I have that pulled up in just a second.
Okay.
Let me find it.
I'm jumping ahead. Sorry.
You're a little bit, but that's okay.
No, that's all right. Keep going. We'll find out.
I wanted to say the part that I really liked was there's a new study that came out and it ranked Jacksonville as number 16 among U.S. and Canadian cruise hubs, and it's behind its Florida peers. Port Canaveral is number 10, Tampa is 11, Port Everglades is 12, and Miami is 14. But we're not trailing by much. I mean, we're number 16 and Miami's number 14. That's pretty crazy.
I didn't realize that at all, actually. I didn't know. I haven't heard anybody say, hey, we're cruising out of Jacksonville.
Right. So I guess this study compared it with, how many passengers and activities on the cruises, and beer cost was part of the evaluation. So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
I guess that's
priorities.
I thought that was pretty funny. So that's pretty great. And I was looking through this too because I don't really know a whole lot about Norwegian Cruise Line. I've only done 2 cruises ever. One was a Disney cruise with the kids, and of course that was amazing. We went out of Port Canaveral, and then the other cruise I did a long time ago was Royal Caribbean, and it was great too. That was my first cruise, so I didn't know any different. So I thought it was, it was all great. But what I found was this is U.S. News best cruise lines rankings. Best cruise line for families, number 3 is Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Yeah. I did the
So
Norwegian Baltic cruise a long time ago when my parents were still around. That was one thing you could do with elderly parents, and you could meet with them for dinner, and you could maybe go on one of those easy excursions that wasn't too much for them, and then you could venture off and do other things. And I thought they were pretty awesome, actually. We enjoyed our cruise. Now, I don't know. That's why I was curious to know where Norwegian would be sailing to out of Jacksonville. But like you think Carnival is like a party cruise line. So, I'm past that stage in my life, obviously, with kids and all that. I don't know if I'm going to be jumping on a Carnival cruise. I know they do family cruises as well, but I think Royal Caribbean's awesome. Celebrity's awesome. Same cruise line, but I know Norwegian has some great cruises as well.
yeah, this is the Norwegian Cruise Line out of Jacksonville. Right now, it's like the Norwegian Gem ship is the one that they have sailing
Hmm.
from Jacksonville. And it's mostly like Bahamas, and then they have their own private island in the Bahamas. Um, and looks like Key West. So I'm seeing 3-day, 4-day, 5-day.
Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. Johnston, Antigua, St. Kitts, British Virgin Islands, Tortola, and St. Martin, where I was born and raised. Sailing will include 4, 5, 11, and 12-night itineraries. Okay, so this is starting in November. So now, if you're going to sail to the Caribbean, you can go on Norwegian out of Jacksonville.
Right,
You don't need to fly out of or go out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale anymore, or Cape Canaveral,
right.
which saves you a drive. It'll be interesting because if you think about it, whenever we boarded any of those ships, because when we lived in South Florida, we would obviously go out of Fort Lauderdale. It's amazing to me how many people fly in from all over the world to get on these cruise ships,
Right.
and then they're gonna stay an extra day or two because they're like, well, I might as well add a day or two onto it and hang out in Fort Lauderdale or Miami, whatever. So I imagine this would be really good for Jacksonville tourism industry.
Right. Well, and the ports too is kind of more on that north side of Jacksonville. So you get a lot of Jacksonville that
Yeah.
you see with all of this too, which is, I think part of why the city is putting all this effort in things like the Emerald Trail. And I mean, not to mention the Jaguars and all of the stuff that comes along with the new stadium. So this is just another piece of the puzzle. Norwegian Cruise Lines bringing a ship in November. And then I just saw this article that came out yesterday as well. The headline is this major cruise line canceled months of sailings on 4 ships. But the reason is because they're moving some of their ships' home ports. The Norwegian Gem will sail from Tampa, but also it's sailing from Jacksonville because that's the ship we were just seeing on the
Yeah.
itineraries. And the Norwegian Dawn will sail shorter voyages to the Bahamas from Jacksonville, Florida. So they're moving ships around. And the Norwegian Dawn was originally in New York, I believe. So
Mhm.
that's coming down to here. So that's great news for us too. So it sounds like maybe we'll have 2 ships coming in and out from Norwegian. So right now, from what I could see on their bookings that you could pick from was the Norwegian Gem. But it sounds like the Norwegian Dawn is on its way.
Okay. So that's a big cruise line. It's a decent ship. Some great options for all our cruisers out there. I mean, we have so many Disney people here that have the season Florida pass to Disney. They should just motivate us by doing local fares, last minute fares on cruise lines.
That'd be
So if you're a
cool.
local resident of Florida and you have a last minute room available on a cruise ship, you should discount it for your local residents.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
See?
I
Thinking
love
of,
that idea.
if there
Okay.
isn't already a deal, there should be. I mean, especially if you're a young person, a working professional, you have easy ability to take off on weekends, hop on a cruise ship, go to the Bahamas, discounted.
Like,
Fantastic. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, a
I
nice
like it.
3-day vacation,
What's that?
a nice little 3-day round trip.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, Jacksonville is starting to get a tourism industry. That's why they're doing this. We are starting to see some revenue from tourism being an industry here.
That's
Because, you always hear about everybody wanting to go to Miami or Orlando, Disney, etc. So I think that the city is making some fantastic efforts to do all the things that they need to do to Jacksonville to make it a good tourist destination.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I found a new, idea for the St. Augustine area. It's a dog park with a beer and wine cafe. So, dog park, beer and wine cafe in St. Augustine.
I think I was out with somebody yesterday. A customer came into town in the veterinarian business, and I was like, "Did you know that Jacksonville or Northeast Florida is one of the most popular pet-friendly, dog-friendly states in the United States?" And she says, "No, I was not aware of that." And we said, "Man, we are so pet-friendly." But apparently now we're saying that we as pet owners, including myself, are lushes too, because we can't just go out with our dogs. We want to go have wine too.
Well, I think it just makes it an event. You can go and hang out with your dogs, and apparently there's going to be a place where the kids can play too. So this is, not just, you know,
I'm
it,
for
it,
it.
it's
We can learn a
impactful.
lot from dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When it
You're
goes
not
back
a
to
dog
what you
owner, but
said,
I am. I learned a lot from Paisley. I can go and get the mail and come back 5 minutes later, and Paisley will act like I've been gone for 3 years.
I know I have a cat, and she just doesn't care.
I wish my wife was like that. That'd be amazing. After 13 years of marriage.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. I missed you, honey.
It's only been 5 minutes. But yeah, so they're putting it in. It's going to actually have a really great view too. So going back to what you were saying earlier about being out in the fresh air and getting, a breeze and all of that. I had to dig a little bit. This is kind of this is where it's going to go. You're going to have a view of the San Sebastian. So it'll be nice and pretty. I'm going to try and pull that up on the map where I think it's going to be. So to me, going back and forth, it seemed like it was going to be kind of in this area. The Flagler Crossing, that's a neighborhood
Yeah.
we're using as a reference. I think it's going here in this green space in
Okay.
between the St. John's Planning Department and that landing at St. Augustine. So it looks like it's going to go here. And then you'll get some views of the San Sebastian River.
Oh, cool.
So that's in St. Augustine. So zooming out, letting you kind of see.
Just north of downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Along US 1.
Yeah, I give a shout out. I did a little daddy-daughter date on Sunday for a couple hours, and I went all the way down to St. Augustine to take my youngest to stone climbing in St. Augustine, which is a rock wall climbing gym. And I decided to go there because, is it the Rock Edge or something in Jacksonville is always crowded. I called on Sunday. It was raining a little bit, and they said it's pretty crowded. So it's stone climbing or climbing stone in St. Augustine, hardly anyone there. And my youngest had full reign to 16-foot walls of rock climbing, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Kind of like in the middle of St. Augustine, and it's Sunday afternoon. It wasn't crowded at all. It was pretty cool. So it just goes to show you, I mean, it's a little bit of drive from here. It was just past downtown, but I mean, cool little date with my daughter, good exercise, a little scary watching an 8-year-old climb a 16-foot wall, but she was killing it.
Yep.
So, I mean, St. Augustine is just not all touristy stuff. There's some cool things to do down there as well that are fun family things as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. That sounds awesome.
Shout out to Stone Climbing Gym. I think I got it right. I hope I did.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out because that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm glad everybody was safe because the next piece of the story I have to talk about is UF Health is expanding their footprint. So if you needed urgent care or something, then we have lots of hospitals popping up around the area, and UF Health is one of the ones that's expanding. And they have they're beginning construction on a 4th emergency and urgent care center. What I thought was really cool about this is, it's emergency room and urgent care. So if you just aren't sure which one you need to go to, you can just go there and they'll help you figure it out. So that's kind of cool. There are definitely times where you're like, well, I need stitches or whatever. Or if you've got somebody with a fever or somebody who's having an allergy issue, like you're just not sure if it's an ER thing or an urgent care thing, and you can figure it out once you get there.
Okay.
And it also has lab services, and this is going to be huge. 25,000 square feet. There's all kinds. It's
Atlantic Boulevard, located just west of the Intercoastal Waterway. Okay.
So here on the red dot. So
okay.
It's in the Duval side. But with that said, this is the same hospital that's building over at Durbin Park. UF Health
Yes.
Hospital is also being built there. So, their expansion's continuing. It's still on track for 2026 opening. That's the current state.
Yes, and that's also where the new YMCA is going to be, somewhere over there as well.
That is correct.
Yeah. We did a whole show on the Durbin area, so if you want to catch up and check that video out, it's under the lives, or just do it in the search under Durbin Development. I think that they purchased Flagler Hospitals. Right. And Flagler had an office here in Nocatee, and there was a little rough patch. And I have to say, I stuck with them, and UF took over, and the transition was, transitions are always going to be a little difficult. I'm really impressed with UF lately. That's my primary here in Nocatee, and they took over, and they are fantastic. I really think they're very professional. They do a good job. And again, people don't realize when they come to this area, we have more medical care than you can imagine. I mean, hospitals, you're right, popping up everywhere. And we are not even talking about Baptist, Mayo, some of these, world-class hospitals, that people come from all over in the country. But for your neighborhood doc, Flagler, or UF Health, used to be Flagler, UF Health's doing a fantastic job. So, and then also, what is that? I mean, they were also doing the UF Master's program. Is that health related for downtown Jacksonville, the graduate school?
Right. I'm not sure if it's health related or I think it's tech related.
Oh, it is tech related. All right, never mind. Duh. All right, sorry.
But speaking of downtown, they are expanding their emergency trauma center in downtown UF Health. So,
oh, wow.
So that is currently underway. It started last year. They said it was going to take 18 months. So it's still ongoing. So not only is UF Health building that brand new facility at Durbin Park, over off Atlantic Boulevard, and they're also upgrading their trauma center downtown. So this is, the level 1 trauma center. So that, it's a big deal.
Cool.
So they're upgrading and expanding. So.
All right. So if you're worried about good medical care, worry no more.
Yeah, we've got a lot.
We do. It's true. I mean, listen, I have folks calling from South Florida. It takes a year just to get a specialist down in southern parts of Florida where there's more retirees, not enough doctors, not enough hospitals. And people are like, yeah, I'm on the waiting list. That's why I come up here, because it takes me a year. So We might see more retirees moving the area because of that, because of our healthcare.
Yeah, I could see that. But it's a good thing you got to have options. But
You do.
also, I would talk about all this expansion, all these things that are coming. But I also wanted to talk real quick about. I found a whole bunch of conservation articles that popped up this week today too. So, North Florida Land Trust aids preservation of 1,000 acres in critical wildlife corridor. This is in Putnam County, and the conservation fund purchased a property for $3.25 million. And this helps with the Ocala to Osceola wildlife corridor. So I'll show you a picture of that in just a minute. Here we go. So there's a corridor here. They call it Ocala to Osceola wildlife corridor, and it's basically 100-mile long, 1.6 million acre landscape of public and private lands that connect. And this is just, to help provide habitat for Florida black bears and species like the indigo snake and the gopher tortoise and red cockaded woodpecker. I had to look up how to say it.
Yeah, I'd be scared to attempt that one.
And then the longleaf pine forest, sandhills, and scrub, so different fauna, if you will, flora and fauna. So 1,000 acres is a really, really big deal. And
this reminds me of a funny story. We were doing a walk today, and my folks are in from Illinois. If they're watching, sorry guys, I had to bring this up, but we're doing the walk with the builder, and in the backyard, we were talking about the fence line, and of course, there was a tiny little pygmy snake, and literally, we almost walked into it, and I think they were mortified, but they put on a good game face, and they're like, "Is that normal?" And I'm like, "Snakes? Yes." And how do you know if it's good or bad? That's a bad one.
right.
But yeah, we have snakes. The funny thing is that, as I always say to folks, people always say, well, we do have snakes. Yes, they can be poisonous, but the reality is, knock on wood, there's two things I can say we haven't had happen here in Noctis. One, we haven't had a flood yet with all our retention ponds. And number two, no one's been bitten by a snake, or not that I know of. Now, I know dogs have been bitten by a snake because they put their nose where they're not supposed to, but they're not deadly. You have to go to the hospital though. But it was pretty comical. So I sorry guys, if you're watching, and I mean to make a joke out of it, but it was pretty funny.
Well, I think that's why these corridors are that much more important too, because it does give those animals, critters, someplace to go. The reality is as we build, we're pushing them out.
Yeah.
So it is good. I found another article, conservation deal takes 1,000 acres in Volusia off the table for development. This was a slightly different kind of a deal. This is an agriculture deal. This is a company that basically sold the rights of their land, but they get to keep their land and still do agriculture on their land.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't be developed. So, it is preserved as farmland. And then I just came across this today too. Governor DeSantis and Florida cabinet approved $167 million to protect more than 20,000 acres of conservation land. So I dug through this really quickly, and there's a whole bunch. If you want to look for it, you can find it online. I found it on alachuacountytoday.com. But the piece of the puzzle that I thought was the most interesting is they actually had a piece of it put aside for Duval. So right here, 543 acre acquisition within the Northeast Florida Timberlands and Watershed Reserve Florida Forever project in Duval County will protect habitat for species such as the gopher tortoise while restoring water quality in the lower St. Johns River Basin. So this parcel, previously approved for residential development, will instead be managed by the Florida Forest Service as part of the Cary State Forest, expanding public outdoor recreation opportunities. So, let it be said that Duval and in the state of Florida, I mean, we're looking at the Emerald Trail. We're trying to do different things to protect. This is a slightly different corridor than I just showed you a minute ago, the Florida Wildlife Corridor. So this is the entire state, not just the Ocala to Osceola corridor. But you can see like they're putting in effort to make sure we just don't overdevelop every piece of the state.
Well, I mean, not too long ago, we were hearing that the government was trading a piece of land to a developer for the Guana Preserve. I don't know if you
Right.
recall that. Man, did everybody went up in arms, which rightly so. The Guana Preserves, I love. They're beautiful. We go there all the time. The beaches are on one side, and the developer was trying to put a golf course and resort on them in
Right.
the Guana Preserves in South Ponte Vedra Beach, and boy, did that one get stifled really quick. So kudos to folks that stand behind preserving some of our wildlife, because I hate to say it, I'm not trying to poop on South Florida, even though I used to live down there. There was just so much parts of South Florida that was a concrete jungle, and it's really sad to see all of nature be completely done away with. So I'm glad to see that they're making an effort in Central and North Florida to preserve these areas for sure.
Right. So I felt like today, since we had so much, we were talking about expanding, we're talking about expanding hospitals and expanding cruise lines. But, balancing that out with expanding the Emerald Trail and expanding, conservation efforts. So,
Yeah. I got a comment here. I'm going to share it. Emerald Trails, thanks Supreme B for the comment. Emerald Trails don't mean anything if it does not bring in additional commerce along the route and jobs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to respond to that, because if you have a lot of people utilizing the trails, that's why I think that's a good reason to test it out in different phases like they are.
right.
That if people are using it, it will promote more business along those trails, and create that commerce. But how much, who knows? Is it going to draw, but there is already a lot of development in downtown area. We've got the Four Seasons, right?
Right.
On the riverfront. We've got the new stadium. So I think that, when people are visiting, it gives, starting off, what you have to start somewhere. Okay. And I think if you start one phase of it, that business will go, okay, if there's enough traffic, businesses will spur up and create the jobs and the commerce that you're talking about. So we have to do something, right? You have to do something. And I don't think that this is being done without any studies or anything. This is being modeled off of something that's already working in Atlanta. And I know this sounds ridiculous, and people watching the recording, or even now, it might be controversial. Mark my word when I tell you, Jacksonville very well, and people are going to hate me for saying this, I know, but in 10, 20 years, Jacksonville can very well be the next Atlanta. There's already a lot of folks moving out of Atlanta coming down here already. So, I don't want to say it will be. Hopefully it'll be different, but we're certainly, definitely could be the next Atlanta for sure, downtown Jacksonville. Very premature. And if you disagree with me, that's okay. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your comments. If you're from Atlanta and you go, no way Jacksonville could ever be Atlanta, or you go, pooey, I don't ever want to see Jacksonville. I get it. I understand. I'm just saying it could become that. So anyway, that's my point. But we've got to start somewhere. We've got to have innovation, and test it out. So we'll see.
Right. And really, I remember when the Atlanta Beltline was, it was still very much like they didn't really know like what it was going to become. And it's become a place where people are biking, and it does have, restaurants that popped up along that trail.
Yeah.
So I don't think they went in. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know that Atlanta went into it with that clear vision that it would become what it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking at everything that I see with the Emerald Trail. It does seem that they are sort of modeling it after what I've seen with the Atlanta Beltline. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
similar. But yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think that's a fair critique. I mean, if all it is a bunch of sidewalks, then that's not.
Well, I remember back in the day, and this is a long time ago, Miami had this phenomenal idea to connect Miami with the monorail.
Right.
And did you know about that?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was this monorail, and for the longest time, I don't know where it connected, Coconut Grove maybe to Miami Beach. I don't even know because I never even went on it, and you would just see it sitting there. And it was the most massive failure in all of Miami's history. No one wanted to use the monorail, right? I'm not comparing this to an Emerald Trail. This is way cooler to me than I think a monorail. I don't know why
Right.
Miami, where you want to be outside, you want to be, but that thing failed miserably. And I don't know how much money that cost the city of Miami, but that was a horrible idea. I think this is a little different because, listen, I know it sounds like I'm a tree hugger, and I'm not. I mean, I sell homes. We develop a lot of land, and we tear down a lot of trees. So, but I think there's got to be a balance. I like this because it promotes well-being, health. I think you're right. It'd be great if there was a nice bike trail where people actually biked. Some of our favorite vacations when we went to Banff this summer was renting a bike from Canmore and being able to ride your bike all the way to Banff and ride around the town, go to lunch, restaurants. I mean, there was miles and miles of bike riding, and it was awesome. We did it with my wife and 2 kids in tow, and it was so fun, relaxing, airy, breezy. And we stopped for lunch. We're like, where can we go now? And it's just cool exploration phase. So I like the idea for that matter. Of course, I wanted to bring jobs and commerce and everything. I think it's a brilliant comment. I agree with you. But I love that aspect of it. So if I feel that way, how many people visiting like families to Jacksonville go, hey, why don't we rent some bikes and get on this Emerald, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trail. So 30 miles, it would be phenomenal. That's like that's almost too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and we have that riverfront too, which, I mean, the last place I lived was Chicago area, and it's got Lake Michigan right there, and, biking trails and all that right there too. So I think Jacksonville's on the right track with it, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. I think they're making good decisions.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, but that's pretty much all I got for you today.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Rachel, for putting it up. Hey, folks, for those of you that did watch, thanks for coming on. You have one last minute to put a comment from where you're watching from. Supreme Beam, where are you watching from, man? You in Jacksonville? I just want to know where people are watching from sometimes. So if you're watching this in recording, go ahead and put it in the comments where you're watching from. I just love finding out who's watching local or out of state, people relocating still or not. But of course, if you are thinking about making a sale or downsizing, upsizing, moving the area, we are not just YouTubers. I'm actually a real estate company living in Jacksonville team. So if you're thinking about making that move, would love to be a real estate resource of choice. You can call us, text us, email. Information will be in the comments. And every Tuesday we have a video coming out. Whether it's home tour, community tour, or the real estate market. And Thursday nights we do the live. Thank you, Miss Rachel, for providing some awesome up-to-date information, what's going on in the area. And we'll do it again next week.
Of course.
All right. Good night, folks.